One of the really hard things for a lot of people to face is this. Like tomorrow, if I was to call Rob or Rick Ellis or this Rick Strauss, or I can't think of what the guy's name is, but if I was to call any of them and say, hey, I want to try to work this out so that I don't get taken advantage of. I'm not really all that concerned about money, but I know we live in a money world. And if I try to get too deep into that stuff, of course, there are going to be things that everybody hears about, talks about, and really doesn't care too much to look into. But when I would say this, Rob, the problem is I'm too honest, and I'm doing what is truly an act of freedom. And most people aren't courageous enough, or what they would be looked at from other people as crazy enough, to truly be free, honest, and unafraid of what other people will do about it. And if that's hard for people to understand, here's a little more of an elaboration. I want to say, whatever happens to my route really isn't my concern. As I said before, I don't want to be taken advantage of. And the people that are involved in everything that goes into what happens to the route now really have no concern on what is, quote unquote, really fair. Take away money. Take away anything that matters with material possessions or policies that somebody made up. Go deeper into it and ask about morally what is right. Okay? When I had my experience, before I had my spiritual, as I call it, experience, more than that, it's just more than that. Realization, enlightenment, truth. Before that happened, I was doing just as everybody else does, working a job, trying to, quote unquote, make ends meet. Now, I can honestly point out, if no one else understands this, they have to realize they don't need to go work a job to survive, literally survive, to be alive in this world. You do not need to follow somebody's orders or some past way of living that other people thought made sense but is no longer working. You don't have to do that, but you're doing it anyway. That's the truth, and you don't want to face that. Someone is going to be bold enough to tell you, no matter what your policies say, and no matter how much you act like a good little boy or girl and follow along, you're not doing the right thing. You're following along with somebody else's say-so. Is that not the truth? Now, here is the big issue. If I say, I don't care about money, I want what is morally fair. Because after I had that monumental experience in our lifetime, not in my life, in our life, because it is only one life. In our life, after that experience, I morally did not want to work a job where I was not just working for somebody else, but doing and putting out things that people didn't need, the foods that people didn't need. I didn't eat meat, and I didn't want to put out bread and sandwich stuff like that for people to eat meats. But everybody else I knew would say stuff like, if you don't do it, someone's going to do it anyway. And I kept thinking, and I can't help the world if I'm not in the world. I can't. And at this point, I also own the business, so I can't get out of it that easy because I signed papers. That's just a policy that somebody else made up with some paper that's holding us all under control. That we have to be brave enough to say, hey, I don't care about this money shit anymore. I care about what's morally right and fair to each individual. That is the truth, is it not? If it isn't, tell me what policy you're listening to or what past way of life somebody told you to follow. Just tell me, okay? Am I not right? So When I call and people go to tell me, well, we got to do this because I'm like, you don't have to do that, but you're going to because you're following someone else's say-so, are you not? You just don't want me to be that blatant and straightforward, but it's because I care about you so that you break out of your brainwash, and you're choosing to follow the brainwash, are you not? What will you do about it? Are you going to stand up for yourself? Are you still going to be a child in a grown-up's body for the rest of your life? Maybe you don't like somebody being this bold and honest to you, but you don't want to die saying, what was life all about? Why didn't I understand? Why did I miss out on stuff? And I am telling you right now the cure to it. This is what people have always wanted to hear and were afraid to say. Or maybe they didn't experience the way I did, and I'm not trying to compare, but damn it, I had it. So it's time for me to share it. And if Rob or Rick or any of these guys that I would call are going to say, well, we get what you're saying, and I respect your way of looking at it, and that's just your belief. It's not my belief that you don't know the people that you're following along with. You don't know any of them. And in fact, you don't know you, because you've been trying to act like a job or get a position somewhere or be someone you're not to impress other people, to impress yourself, to become an ego, to feel like a somebody. Isn't that true? I know it is, because I did it too, as a human being, as a living, mortal hunk of flesh that followed along with what they were told to do. Now, if we are brave enough together, we can change this. For me to be the only person brave enough to do it makes me almost brokenhearted and makes me feel like I seem to be crazy, but I know I'm a genius. Whoopee ding dong, right? No one cares. They'd rather sell snack cakes and worry about buy one, get one free that the heavy people don't need, or the people who, even if they're healthy, they don't need that stuff. It's not going to help them. In fact, any extra food is weighing you down. You don't need any extra food, no matter what it is. You don't need sugary drinks. You don't need that stuff, and you know it, but you're going to keep doing it because you don't know how to stop. The only way to stop is to get out of all the other routines that are placed upon you by other people, so that after you get out of other people's binding, you can break out of some of yours that were even deeper embedded because they were your escapes, and you didn't really know that they were. Until you see, hey, I ate these sugary things and these salty things because they made me feel pleasure, because the rest of my life I felt out of control. And if that isn't true, then tell me what isn't. Or tell me what is true. Tell me what made you you. I can. I made everything, and I experienced it. Now, when I get talking like that, people don't like it, of course, because they don't feel that way about themselves, because they are also what I'm talking about when I say I created it. It's just that I experienced that. Not just experienced or will experience, I'm staying in that. And I know it. I'm here with it. No one can tell me otherwise. I know the difference between how we can put math down and figure things out scientifically and mathematically, and how there's another dimension to the whole math problems that everybody, every scientist, every neurologist, every super genius has thought of, that there's another level to the math we do right on our paper. There is the spiritual math, and I see it everywhere. Other people talk about auras and all this kind of stuff. That's cool too. That's just a piece of it, that they didn't put the puzzles together right. They just didn't. They heard some other stories and they followed those to some degree, to some extent. They read a book and they followed along. They heard someone else and they followed along. Now, I know in this world right now as a human being, the only thing for me to do as an ego is to find the things that I want to program into myself and follow along with, because I know how to do magic. But I want to get that out of my mind so that I don't start following those kind of things on a normal everyday basis and freak people out. So I have done things that moved things and actually moved around in the sky and caused falling stars and electric and lightning and clouds appearing and disappearing and some crazy shifts in the real world as a human being named Dan. Whoopie-doo. I let go of those. Those were a year or two ago, and some were more recent, but not very recent. Like, I let go of those because I'm not ready to be the guy who does that when no one else is ready to take what abilities we have. I hear all kinds of people on YouTube just from ads that I listen to for a few minutes to see what people are really into that talk about, law of attraction and consciousness and making money, and Bob Proctor and Vishen Lakhiani and all these people, and they're great human beings. They're trying really hard to be as good as they can towards people, but they don't see where they're lost. I see it because I've been to the other side and back so many times now. It's like going to the store and picking up whatever I need and coming back. It's like I don't need anyone to explain anything to me, but every person that I try to talk to has everything else in their mind that has already been put in there about what we need to do, what we need to eat, what we need to think, how we need to act, all that stuff. Every single person has their own interpretation. They're like, everyone's got their right to do that. And I say, yeah, you do. So know what's true first and then be your character. Because no matter who you think you are, when you wake up in the morning, you're just life. You're not your name. You don't just all of a sudden, you don't have shoes, but then you put shoes on that you think are yours. You have a mom and dad and parents or family or spouse or girlfriend or roommate, or maybe you're by yourself and you have a dog or a fish. Any one of those are just, that's not your fish. You're just a quote unquote acting as a fish owner who has a fish that you named something, or a cat that you named something, or an iguana that you named Ralphie Poo. It doesn't matter. Those aren't even real. Those are the words you put to them. And if you get down to the level I'm truly talking about, you'll know that that is also the truth. Nothing is yours. It'll never be yours. No one's ever owned anything. The land is not someone else's. The land is not yours. If you are there, we should learn how, on a massive level scale, how to share. And with what we have now, if you need it, it's yours. If I'm here and I'm using it, and you come here, we're going to share it. But somehow, tell me why you feel the need to come barging in on other people's stuff, not just mine, but anybody else's, because nothing is mine. But where people are at the moment, I don't know how else to put it into words. So I got off track with what I was talking about with the Bimbo thing, but this is on a massive mental level, a mind level, a spiritual level. And in this physical world, people have lost compassion. And no one will seriously look into what other people are saying because they're thinking about what they've heard and what they're supposed to do. And supposed means someone else up there posed it upon me, or supposed. Like your pose wasn't yours, it was supplied to you. Supposed. Supplemented pose. What do you think that means? You're not supposed to do anything unless you supplied that pose, that position, unless you said, hey, this is what I want to do. So from now on, think about what is true instead of thinking about what someone else said to do. And don't just think this guy, Dan Alexander, some goofball that you don't want to listen to, is saying this. It's the truth speaking through his body. So what? Yippee-doo. He doesn't have Dan anymore. You can call him that, because what else would you do? He'd rather be called a tree, because I'm just the truth, just like a tree is. It stands firm, it's well-rooted, it branched out, it reached its limit in the sky, and here it is to tell you the truth. That's what I am. So if people don't want to hear the truth, then that's just them choosing to stay brainwashed, or choosing to stay ignorant, or choosing to stay, they're all negative words, but maybe just say choosing to stay in game mode, like a child. You can die at 150 and still be a child in the mind if you don't really understand that you've never made your own choice until you decide to break free and say, I don't need the money. I don't need the materials. I don't need to do what a policy told me. I have morals and I know what's right for me, others, and the environment and I live in. Because now I understand what God is. I'm 100% part of it, and it's 100% part of me, and it'll never go anywhere. And my consciousness is going to stay right here because I am pure love. And if that isn't the truth, then you need to do some soul searching, my friends. And I'm here to help you find exactly what you'll search for, because I am it. Tag. Now you're it. Find it. I love you, and until next time, peace.